Do you guys know what viral means?
Yes.
I didn't hear what he said.
Do you know what viral means?
Oh,
That's what Sarah, my granddaughter, said, Mama, this is going to go viral.
oh yeah.
You guys think your story went viral?
I do.
Well, I guess.
The last time we looked at it, there were 8-something million that had seen the Steve Harvey show. And we were in People magazine. We were in the New York Vows. We were on Inside Edition.
Access Hollywood.
We were on Channel 10 for Valentine's Day. So it is a story that people like because it's happiness.
Oh, it is. We've shared this with so many people, and to tell them, that.
Not so much about us, but about how the Lord works in your life.
Yeah.
And how God has the best for you.
This is a love story for the ages. 10 TV's Brittany Bailey introduces you to some Columbus newlyweds.
Well, chances are, kiss you whether you like it or not. And it was 1956 all over again. My heart was just pounding.
คุณบ๊อบฮาวีฝ่ายชายเนี่ยก็บอกเลยว่าแอนเนตแอดกินส์ทันทีเลย Love at first sight นะครับ
Bob, back in 1955, she thought the relationship, look at this, had just run its course, Mario.
Fast forward to...
Say, John, I loved her before you did.
Wait a minute, hold up, Bob.
Well, I'm gonna have no hope here.
A story about a couple that dated when they were in high school, and then they got married. They married other people, broke up, the whole deal, went through lives, and then got married again when they were in their late 70s.
That is sweet. I like that.
It's kind of adorable.
Yeah, it is kind of adorable.
Like they decide, like, what? We've been fucking around all this time.
Yeah.
What have we been doing?
I know.
And we were in the Pataskala Standard paper, and that was a nice article. It's like a Hallmark movie, and this is from the Advocate. And then it was in the Cincinnati paper, and then we were, the New York Vows called and wanted us to be in their paper in the Vows. And then a cousin in Virginia called Bob and said, "Hey, Bob, did you know that you all are in the National Enquirer?" We couldn't believe it. They did a good article, and probably one of the best articles was in the National Enquirer.
Sex scandal bombshell. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's got this is the cover, the National Enquirer, and then here's the article.
And then we were in People magazine. They did an article on us, which was real nice. One article was in Women's World, and I had never really heard of this magazine. And they said, God's timing is perfect, is always perfect. And that was in Women's World, January the 20th of 2020.
Oh, it was the 1955-56 school year, Prince William County, Virginia, Garfield High School. And I was in study hall in the auditorium, and I guess it was the second week of school, and someone came into the auditorium, and I turned and looked, and it was the most beautiful girl I had ever seen in my life. And it was in that she came walking into the auditorium, and she took a seat 2 rows behind me, I believe it was, and
well, in the auditorium, you had to sit so many seats apart, so they didn't want you talking to each other. We were supposed to be studying.
Yes, that is. So anyway, I was passing notes with another girl that was in there, and so Annette had asked her a little later on. She said, "Are you and Bob boyfriend and girlfriend?" She said, "Oh no, not him. And so anyway, she said, well, I saw you passing notes. And she said, you know what the notes were about? She said, it's about you. He really thinks you're wonderful, you're beautiful. And so it's about you. So as time went on, we became friends. And I fell madly in love with this woman during that 1955-56 school year. Soulmate forever, just wow. Broke my heart when she went back south to got out of high school, but she went back south to go to nursing school, and broke my heart. And so some 64 years later, we reconnected. So.
Well, something that Shirley, the girl that you were passing notes to, was on the bus with me. And we'd sit beside of each other going back home from the school. And that's when I asked her, do you like Bob? Is he your boyfriend? And she said no. And then when Bob asked me to go to the sock hop, which was the first dance of the school year, and I told him no, because I had come from the country in Pikeville, Kentucky, and I had never been to a dance, and I didn't know how to dance, and I was shy. So I told Bob no, I didn't want to go to the sock hop. Well, about a week later, the paper boy, who was also there at the high school in our classes, he came to collect for the paper, and my cousin was getting the money, and while I was waiting for her to bring the money, he said, are you going to sock hop? I said, no. He said, well, would you go with me? And I said, okay, because I thought I'll go to the sock hop with Donald, and then I'll learn how to dance, and if Bob asks me out again, I'll go with Bob. And when we got out of the car at the school, at the door to give our tickets, who was collecting tickets but Bob? So I felt so embarrassed that I had told Bob no, I wasn't going to the sock hop, and here I'm coming in with Donald. But he didn't hold that against me, and he asked me out again later.
Oh, yes. For me, it was love. Oh, listen, she was the most beautiful woman. I'll tell you what, she still is. She's still a beautiful woman. I'm still madly in love with her. I fell in love with her. I mean, it was like, it was wonderful. It was a wonderful, wonderful school year. And but like I say, for me, it was love at first sight. I fell in love with this woman,
Wow.
lock, stock, and barrel, soulmate, and whatever. And when we separated, it was very difficult. I had an emotional time seeing her drive away.
Well, what we called back then, this was what, 65 years ago or more, that we were going steady.
Yeah.
So we did go steady that whole year. I'm not sure. I really liked Bob. He played football, and I went to all the football games, and I'd always, at the end of the game, I'd go where he was on the field and hold his hand, and we'd walk back to the school together because he was going back into the locker room. But it was young love. It was my first person that I ever felt in love with. And when we dated one time, we had had several dates, and we'd double date because Bob didn't have a car and I didn't have a car. But we were in the back seat of this car with another couple, and Bob had never kissed me goodnight or kissed me at all, and I thought, I've never been kissed, and I wonder what it would be like. So I leaned over and kissed him in the back seat of that car, and it's like he was so shocked he didn't know what to do. We were both shy as we could be. Yeah. But I tease him now that I got tired of waiting for him to kiss me.
Yeah, she attacked me in the back of a 56 Chevrolet.
But that was quite an experience, your first kiss.
My first kiss, that sealed it. It was like, wow, sparks flew. And It was a wonderful year for me. It was just a wonderful year because I never had a girlfriend before that. She was my first girlfriend, and she was the first girl I ever kissed, or she kissed me first. But anyway, it was just oh wow, what a wonderful year, and I was in love, and yeah, my mother told me that girls were to be respected, and if you dare disrespect a girl and I find out about it, you're in trouble, you know. And so I was always of that.
When we didn't have very much money, you didn't have things to do like you do today.
No, that's true.
I don't even remember if we went to a movie or not.
No, there was
probably just everything centered around the school.
The 50s were different than what you would see today. Apples and oranges, and
well, the music was the thing then.
Oh yeah. Oh, now that was one thing. We had the music. We had the best music. The music of the 50s. Rock and roll was coming into vogue, and it was just oh my.
And that was the first time I heard Elvis Presley. Was my senior year in high school.
And of course there was Johnny Mathis.
Yes.
And I think when she left to go back to Kentucky, she said, "How long will you love me?" And I said, "I will love you forever."
Till the 12th of never.
And Johnny Mathis had a song out called "The 12th of Never." You ask how long I'll love you, I'll tell you true, until the 12th of never. And so Johnny Mathis was part of our love,
music.
Our music, and that's what got us back together after all those 63 years. Yeah.
That's right. He was on a sabbatical from his cancer treatments, and coming back to go back home from his trip, he heard Johnny Mathis on the radio.
And yeah, she was, over these ensuing years, she left and went back to Kentucky, and we just lost contact. And she went to nursing school and to get her degree. And I thought about her frequently over the years. I married another woman in 1959, and different love affair, 2 different love affairs. And over the years, I thought about Annette, what she was doing, how many kids she had, and I sort of kept up with where she was when she was in Kentucky, and then she was in Ohio, and various things, but no contact.
That was only through the alumni.
Right. So there was no contact, no verbal and no physical contact over those many years. And
what happened, I really feel the Lord had a plan for us. We didn't know it at the time. As you get older, you can look back and see in the past and kind of pinpoint, well, that path took me a different way, and it wasn't my plan, but I think it is of the Lord. I had come from Kentucky to Virginia, and I came there my junior year, but I had gone 2 years to high school in Kentucky. Well, in Kentucky, you didn't have phys ed. And when I go to Virginia, we didn't realize it. My cousin didn't realize it. The principal of the school didn't realize it. But about 2 weeks before graduation, the senior year, the principal called me to the office, and he said, "Annette, you're 1 credit short, and you won't be able to get your diploma and walk in the graduation class." And I said, "Because of why? What happened?" He said, "Well, in Kentucky you didn't have phys ed, and that would have given you 1 credit for those 2 years. And in Virginia, see, I'm 1 credit short." So I didn't realize that till my senior year. But in my junior year, if that summer they had told me that, I would have stayed there in Virginia and gone to summer school to make up that credit. But my Aunt Ethel, at the end of my junior year, asked me to go to Florida with she and her husband and another couple. And I said yes, because I'd never been to Florida. And that changed my life. You know, that made me be away that whole summer from Virginia, and I didn't get to see Bob that summer. While I was in Florida with my Aunt Ethel, another family came to see her that day, and they had a son named John. And I got to meet John, who was my age, and we enjoyed 2 or 3 days of just seeing each other and being there on the beach together. So that's why I started liking John. So when I went back the senior year to Virginia to go back to the high school, Bob met me at my locker the first day, and I said to Bob, I don't want to date you anymore. I've met somebody else. And that was a terrible thing for me to be so abrupt and to do that in that way, but I didn't want to be dishonest with Bob. So we didn't date at all that senior year. And I didn't date anybody that senior year. I just wrote letters to John. So then this is how Bob...
So I watched her up and down the halls over the school year. And in, I guess it was probably May, we were having the senior prom coming up. I didn't have a date. I never dated anybody else. And I was in history class, and there was one seat in the history class, and that was in front of me. I guess that was probably on purpose. And the doors opened, and this very pretty redhead walked in with hair. She looked like Maureen O'Hara. She had red hair all the way down to her waist. Beautiful red hair. And guess where she sat? She sat in front of me. So she was very quiet. I didn't remember what her name was when they called it, but anyway, I just called her Red. And so finally I said, well, everybody who was going to the prom had their date, and I didn't have one, and here was somebody who didn't have a date. They had just come into school just before the prom. And so I kept after her until she finally answered, and she wanted to know what I wanted. And I said, you want to go to the prom with me? And so that went on for a few days. And then finally she said, you have to meet my parents and this, that, and the other. And so I had to go through all of that. But that's how we dated. How I met her was her. She was my second girlfriend, second date, so to speak. And I was her first boyfriend. And so over a period of 2 years, we dated. We'd gotten out of high school, and we dated and went to work, and I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. And so we were married in 1959, 2 years after we got out of high school. We lived in Woodbridge, Virginia. We had 2 children, a son, Brian, and a daughter, Denise. But over the years, like I say, I would think about Annette once in a while. That first true love was just in my mind, and I thought about her very fondly over the ensuing years. My wife and I were married for just shy of 60 years, and she died of cancer. And my cancer treatment was the Tasmanian devil steroid that I took kept me awake for 72 hours after treatments, and I got to the point where that I couldn't handle it anymore, and I just refused to take it. And I took a 3-week trip, and I just went. I went to ball games, I went to concerts, I visited small towns, and stayed on people's farms. Just called people and said, hey, can you put me up for a couple of days? But I had to get away. I needed a break. And on my way back, I was gone for 3 weeks. And on my way back, I heard the Johnny Mathis song, "The 12th of Never," came on. And I said, there's my bucket list. I want to see Annette one more time before I die. By this time, my wife had been passed for 2 years. And I got to thinking about her, had a very emotional time, had to pull off on the side of the road. I have to say, I was just really overcome with emotion. And so my plan was that I was going to come home and I was going to call her husband, John, and say, "Hey, John, I'd like to come to Ohio and see Annette one more time before I die. I loved her before you did." and so that was kind of fun. But that was my plan. And so all the way home, I got home, I set my suitcases down just inside the door, I turned on my computer, I looked at the screen, and I Googled her name just to check on make sure there wasn't any changes in where she was. And I found her husband's obituary, and John had passed away in 2015. And during that time period, she'd been a caregiver. And for 7 years, I'd been a caregiver for my wife who had cancer. And unfortunately, you don't have times to think about anything but your spouse or your loved one that you're taking care of during that time. But anyway, I sat down and looked at his obituary and pulled out my checkbook, and I wrote a donation to hospice and palliative care in his honor and memory, and for taking care of Annette and her family, and for him. And I sent those checks off that very same day. And a few days later, I found a nice card. I called it a condolence card. And I sent that. And 7 days later, I came home and my telephone was blinking, and I figured just another advertising call. And I pushed the button and it says, "Bob, this is Annette." Oh, I was so excited. Oh my, she had called. And she said, "I got your card today, and when I turned it over, I saw your name and return address." She said, "I've been looking for you for about 2.5 years. She said, I'd given up almost 100% ever finding you again as to what you were doing or whatever." And she said, "It's like God answered prayer." She said, "I've been praying to find out where you were. You have no social media." And so she said, "I couldn't find you." And she said, "Do you think you can come to Ohio?" This was the 26th of July, right? Yeah, 26th of July. About 2019 in the evening, about 7 o'clock. When I hung up off the phone, I was I was on a euphoric high, so to speak, and I packed a small suitcase. I called my former wife's hairdresser and said, "Can you come by the shop? Can I come by your house tonight and get a haircut?" I said, "I need a haircut," because I had a full beard, had a ponytail. I was harassing my kids with that. I was just a free spirit, so to speak. And she said, "No, but I'll come in early," after I told her what was going on. So I met her the next morning on Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday morning. The next morning, she came in a couple hours early to her shop. I met her. And she said, "I've been wanting to do this for a long time." So she clipped my ponytail off and cut my beard way down. And 550 miles, 12 and a half hours later, I was sitting in her driveway in Gahanna, Ohio. And I called her on the phone and I said, "Are you home?" And she said, "Yes." And she said, "Do you think you'll ever be able to come to Ohio?" I said, "Honey, I'm sitting in your driveway." And so the door flew open, and there she was. My heart was pounding so hard. And I walked over with some flowers. I handed her flowers and said, "You're beautiful. I still love you, and I'm going to kiss you whether you want me to or not. And I kissed her. And the 60 years disappeared. It was like we were teenagers again. And we've been very compatible. And I stayed for 10 days here in Ohio. I had to go back to Virginia for my cancer treatment. And came back. But I told her when I left, I said, I will ask you a question when I come back. And she said, can I answer it now? And I said, no, you can't answer it now. But I said, I will ask you a question. So I drove back to Virginia. It was a long drive. Came back 2 weeks later and asked her to marry me, and she said yes. And so October the 19th, 2019, we were married. And I moved everything from Virginia to Ohio. My cancer treatment went to the James Hospital from Virginia. My 2 cancers are in remission. I have multiple myeloma and I have prostate cancer. And so life has been good. It has been just absolutely wonderful. We have a different journey every day. She's a joy.
Well, one of our stories that was in a magazine, the Woman's World magazine, the title of that was God's Timing is Perfect. And I do believe that that is God's timing. I believe the Lord had Diane for Bob and John for me. And I believe our children were meant to be the way they are. And it's something how the Lord works, and you're not even aware of it. It's not something you really ask for, but the Lord has a plan for you. And the thing that was another way the Lord worked, our church, the day that Bob called there where my husband's funeral had been held, that the church did not have a full-time secretary anymore, so there wasn't anyone in the church to answer the phone except maybe 1 or 2 days a week. And that day, the way that phone was answered, one of the youth leaders was just there to pick up something at the church, and he was walking by the office door when that phone was ringing, and he answered the phone. And I think if the secretary had been there, she would have probably told Bob that she would let me call him if he left his number. I don't think the secretary would have given Bob my phone number. I think he gave you my address. I don't think the church secretary would have done that. So I think that's the way God worked in that timing, that the youth leader was walking by that door, how that happened that way, what a coincidence. And he's the one that gave Bob my address. So I think that was in the Lord's plan. And John and I dated 5 years before we were married in 1961. And we were married 54 years. And he had dementia, and I took care of him for about 7 years. And Bob took care of his wife about 7 years, didn't you? Mm-hmm. So the Lord had a plan for our life, and now He's brought us back together, and I do think that's His timing. And my family has fallen in love with Bob. They all think the world of him. And so we're a blended family now.
Yeah, blended family.
And we feel the Lord working in both families.
We have six children, 6 adult children. We have 14 grandchildren. And we have 5 great-grandchildren, a big change. And my family lives in the Fredericksburg area of Virginia and Connecticut. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, it's been a wonderful experience and journey to this point, and I'm still madly in love with this woman. I know that people have criticized me for that, saying, "Well, didn't you love your wife?" Well, I loved my wife. It was different for 60 years. I mean, So anyway, it's just been a wonderful experience.
Well, and when you lose someone that you see, John and I knew each other 60 years. We were married 54. But I think when you have been married that long and you love someone like that, and then when you lose them, the grief is very, very hard. And you're very lonely. And you don't want to make your family feel bad when they see you, and you're grieving and you're feeling very lonely, but you don't want to worry your family.
Right.
So you hide some of that from them. And then you can hug people, but when you're in love and you love that person, that hug is different than just hugging somebody in your family or your friends.
Yeah,
so God has been so gracious to us to give us this time together.
Yep.
And we don't know how long it's going to be, but we're thankful.
Like I say, I got her some flowers from Kroger's when I came the first time, and I said, "Is there a '50s restaurant, a '50s venue restaurant somewhere?" And so she said there was a place called the Nutcracker in Pataskala, Ohio, and that's where we went on our first date. A couple of days later, I told her, I said,
well, something that happened at the Nutcracker. We told the waitress about our reconnecting, and she told the owner. The owner asked us if we'd stand in front of their jukebox and have a picture made that they wanted to put it on their Facebook. And that's what triggered the editor of the Granville paper wanting to interview us, and that's what got to Steve Harvey, and that's how everything got started.
But anyway, we were in the apartment in Gahanna, and I said, "Come on, we're going to take a ride. We're going to take some flowers out, and we're going to put them on your husband's grave." And so we went out to the cemetery, and with the flowers, and I cleaned up the headstone, and we put the flowers there, and we had prayer there, and we told God that.
Well, we thank God for our spouses.
Our spouses, that we had been married to hers for 54 years, and mine was like 59 years. And
thank the Lord for giving our spouses to us.
Yeah, for our spouses that we had loved, and that we were now reconnecting, and we were sure that our spouses were secure in heaven. That John was in heaven. John was a serious Gideon. I mean, he was Mr. Gideon for Ohio. My wife was very strongly based in the church. And so we knew that they were secure, and said, it's our time, and we'd like to have our time. And it was like this peaceful aura came over us. And we went to, is it Grater's? We went to Grater's and had
ice cream for lunch.
Had ice cream for lunch. And we came back to the apartment. I'm telling you now, there's signs. There's so many signs. And so we came back to the apartment, and we were sitting on the sofa. And suddenly there were these apparitions, like the light. There was this. And there was a cameo of John Callahan and of Diane Harvey, and they were smiling us as if to say, "It's okay." I saw these, and I said, "Look," and she looked up, and it was gone. And that was a sign from God that it was okay for us. Our spouses were okay with it. Yeah, God was okay with it. It was within His timing. That was all.
We didn't want to hurt our children or our family.
We didn't want our children to be upset about this. We were very comfortable with what had taken place, and later on that summer, her husband's favorite flower was a blue morning glory, hybrid blue morning glory. And she had one out on her patio, and it had not bloomed.
Well, the thing of it is, I had planted that, and it had a large vine, and my daughter would come to see me during the week, and we'd go out and look at that morning glory and say, you know, it's a beautiful vine, but it doesn't have any blooms on it. So we were just wanting that morning glory to bloom for
So-
my husband.
So we went. So anyway, we went down to the county seat downtown courthouse
Get our marriage license.
to get our marriage license, and that was an experience also. Here these 80 some year old people coming in to get a marriage license, and so they had a problem with the computer, and of course I'm not very computer oriented, but so anyway, the lady came over and helped us. And so she says, now there's one more thing you have to do. You have to swear an oath before the court. And they said, raise your hand.
right hand.
So we raised the hand and she said, are you intoxicated? And we said, no, we're not intoxicated. And she said, okay, are you on drugs of any kind? And we said, no, we're not on drugs of any kind. And she said, are you related to each other? And we said no, and she said, okay, I can give you the license. So that was kind of funny. So we came back home. We pulled into the garage, and I was getting out of the car, and suddenly Annette just loudly said, Bob, come look, come look, come look. And here was a big blue morning glory had come out.
It's beautiful.
And I said, that's John saying everything is okay. The next day, we go out, and here's the big one, and here's a little smaller one. And we said, that's Diane saying everything is okay. This is done. So that was a sign for us.
It gave us a peace.
It gave us like I say, and we saw so many things that said, God said this is okay. And the next thing we know, we get an invitation from Paul Harvey. Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey. And we were invited to come down to his studio in Atlanta, Georgia. They flew us down, picked us up in limousines, took us to the studio, and we were guests on the Steve Harvey show. And we told our story there. And
Well, from the remarks we got from that show, so many people, I think there were 8,000 remarks from that first time that I looked on there on Facebook. 8,000 remarks. And almost all of them were saying, this is a wonderful story. We needed to hear this type of story. It made us feel so good, and to know love is real. So sometimes we feel like maybe can the Lord use that to help people know that you can have happiness and you can be in love, and it can be from the Lord.
well, that's even like with if the Lord was blessing this. I was looking for a ring to give her, and went to a small jewelry store in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where my wife and I used to do shopping for jewelry for her. And I looked at everything they had. Nothing suited me because it didn't speak to me. And I said, do you have any old pawn? And they said, we got some estate jewelry here from the 1950s, and they pulled it out. And lo and behold, I said, there it is right there. It just spoke to me. I want to see that ring. And they pulled it out. It was a gold ring. It had 3 diamonds on one side, 3 diamonds on the other side, and a center stone. Had 7 diamonds. And they said, what about it? And I said, oh, it said buy me. I said, it's gold. I said, it's got 3 diamonds on this side. That's my past, my future, my past, my present, and my future. And I said, there's 3 stones on the other side. That's her past, her present, and her future. And I said, so when I ask her to marry me, and we get married, the center stone will pull those together, and that'll be the unity stone. And that's the stone.
That will be our journey.
And over the years, well, I guess probably 50 years, we've been dealing at that store. And I said, do you have a senior citizen discount? And they said, let's go talk to the owner. And they went and talked to the owner, and they gave me a phenomenal almost gave me the ring. But I was going to buy the ring anyway, but it was like, wow, there it is. And they were just so excited about that. And I think we've got...
Well, and when I told my daughter, she's, I think she's 49 when we reconnected, and I called Becky to tell her that I'm going to see someone that I used to date in high school. He's coming to Ohio to see me. And Becky said, "Mom, this sounds like a Hallmark movie." So that's what one of the men, the editor of the Granville paper, that's how he titled his interview with us. It's like a Hallmark movie.
It was kind of cute. The morning after it was Sunday. We were going to go to church, and her daughter called from Cincinnati and she said, "Well, yeah, he's here." And so, just in an off comment, I said, "Yeah, just like she can't keep her hands off of me." Well, didn't think anything about it. So we went on to church, and we got back from church, and there's a car sitting in the driveway. It's her daughter. She's driven from Cincinnati to see who this guy is. And so, yeah. And then
that afternoon, my other daughter, Kay, came over with her son, Ryan. And then later on, my son, Mark, came. So they were all checking Bob out.
They're checking me out, yeah. So it's like I say, it's just been, everything has just fallen into place. It's just been wonderful. We
haven't had any arguments yet. 4 years.
Yeah,
we're very compatible.
It's been almost 4 years, and we have not.
Now I have been upset with Bob.
Oh yeah, well,
you have a little times of being upset. That you do have to get adjusted to somebody, because you're two different people.
Absolutely.
But I've never felt angry.
No, I've ever felt towards her is love. I have not.
Now, I'm more emotional than Bob. And some of the things that can upset me is being in the car.
Oh, yeah.
And we get lost. We have to turn around, or we're going to be late.
Now, if there's any,
it doesn't bother Bob like it does me.
Yeah, but like every trip, I got to make a U-turn somewhere, and yeah, so that's a little pet peeve she has. But hey, I know nothing about these roads. I'm learning them. I'm getting better, and but
I think as you get older, you realize that forgiveness is so much easier and better than you don't enjoy being upset anymore. I mean, life is too short.
But I've never had to forgive you for anything.
I don't think as you mature and closer to the Lord, you're walking closer to the Lord, I think your emotions change. You realize the value of life, and you realize that each day is a gift, and you celebrate that and are grateful for it, I think, more than when you're young. When you're young, you're concerned about a whole lot more things than you are at our age.
Well, you know, I guess that's part of growing up. My mother was always respect the young ladies, and if you ever do anything that's not respectful, you're going to deal with me, and that was sort of my thing. And so, you know, when Annette told me that she was seeing someone else and didn't want to see me anymore, I walked away. I didn't argue. I didn't broke my heart. But anyway, it was the Lord's plan that we get together these many years later, and I have no regrets.
Love, I think, is thinking. I think more. I want Bob to be happy, and I want him to feel that I love him. Kindness is a part of love. Forgiveness is a part of love. Wanting something more for him than I want for me. You know, I just think your heart changes when you're in love with somebody.
Yeah, I want the best for her. She fussed at me when we first got married. She said, "I can do stuff for myself," because I just want to do everything for her. I didn't, don't go. You don't need to run in and put out the trash. It's cold out there. I'll be cold. I'll do the trash. I mean, it was like simple things like that. Was like I was trying to do everything to please her, to make sure that she was well taken care of. And that's still my goal, is to take just such good care of her that she will just last forever in our minds. Love is patient, love is kind, and it matures. And I think that we do have love. We do have a sincere love for one another. It's a bond that nothing can separate.
When we have fun together, we kind of lighthearted. We have lost a lot of friends that we really love because we're 84, and we're hearing more all the time of someone that's gone on, and it does touch you, and you feel a loss.
Well, that's true. I was on a police department in 1962. We had 28 members in the rookie class, and 28, and now there's 10 left. 18 have passed away. These are guys that I worked with, but backed up on the street every day. High school friends, the same thing. Where our high school class is dwindling every year, and we're just fortunate that we've lived this long. So I don't think that the Lord is finished with us. I think He still has something for us to do. Maybe someone to meet, someone to share, His message with. That God is love. That's.
Well, then on our trip going to Atlanta to be on Steve Harvey, we flew different flights because Bob was still in Virginia with his cancer treatments, and he had not moved to Ohio yet, and so I flew from Columbus to Atlanta. Anyway, Bob's plane landed there in Atlanta before mine, and he was waiting for me, and happened to run into a man that was there in the airport, and
was mall watching people as they walked by, and a man and his wife and child came out and sat at a little table, and he looked over and he saw a pin that I was wearing, and he said, "You law enforcement?" I said, "Retired." And so we got to talking, and he too had multiple myeloma. He was in the military service, and the people at Walter Reed had told him there was nothing they could do for him. And I told him, I said, "I know a good doctor in Fredericksburg, Virginia, that you need to see." So he got one of those special needs permits and went to see this doctor in Fredericksburg. I don't know how that works with the military, but anyway, he's in remission. They took him in. And the doctor that I had in Fredericksburg, his passion in life is to get a cure for multiple myeloma. Currently there is no cure. So
that man's life has changed now.
Pardon?
The man's life has changed.
Oh, absolutely.
Now
His life has changed.
In remission.
I have so many people I've been placed. The Lord has placed me in a position where contacts just come normal, and I'm able to talk to people and help them to deal with the maladies or the stigmas attached to cancer. It's with me, like when my wife was diagnosed with cancer, they diagnosed her cancer, and he said there's going to be surgery. She said, can we do it tomorrow? And he said, what? She said, I done turned this over to the Lord. She said, I'm ready for the surgery. Can we do it tomorrow? He said, no. He said, I can do it Thursday. She said, we're doing it Thursday. When I was diagnosed, the same thing. He said, you have multiple myeloma. It's a non-curable cancer. And he said, but we're going to try to control it. And I said, okay. And I said, give me a moment. And I said, okay, it's turned over to the Lord. I said, so where do we proceed? I don't dwell on it. It's not a common cold. I present it that way. I'm not terrified of it. Not going to live forever. But like I say, I have no fear of dying. I'm pretty secure, and I'll go to heaven. And so people are there, and they're just, they don't know what to do. There's horror tales of people who have cancer treatments, and I'm sure everybody's heard somebody lament about this horrible treatment, and they don't know what to do. I'm on my third round of cancer treatment. The chemotherapy had stopped working in 2 of them, and now I'm on immunotherapy, which is something else to prolong. So it's just that's life, and the Lord has just been so gracious to Annette and I, and His blessings and the things that He's presented us with, the people that we've met. Again, we have no regrets. It's we're able to share, and I'm sure the Lord will know this one of these days, but I'm sure that we have helped many people. I mean, there's just been so many signs. The morning glories, the apparition that I saw in the ceiling, the actual cameos. We look at life differently, I think, than most people do. Mm-hmm. We look for signs from the Lord that says, hey. But we have prayer and devotion every day. We have a very extensive prayer list that we go through every day, and we pray for everybody. It's like,
well, we do have family that have not given their life to the Lord.
That's true.
And so that's something that's really on our hearts. But we know God's timing is perfect, and we're trusting that the ones that don't know the Lord will come to know the Lord. You
True.
Just can't give up.
True.
You got to have hope and trust in the Lord that He hears and answers the prayers that you're praying. Yes.
Happy.
Very happy.
Oh, well, every day is she is my joy. She is my joy. It's just every day. Oh my, she's just, oh my. I just love this woman so much. It's, oh my. I'm very happy. I am very, very happy.
Well, Bob loves to work with woodwork. And so he's gotten, since we've been married, he had to get rid of a lot of his things in Virginia. So now he has bought a bandsaw, a sander, and I don't know what all, but he loves to work on wood. And I've gotten to take watercolor lessons since we've been married. I've gotten to go to some watercolor lessons. So I think you do have, you have a lot of interest in life that keeps you healthier, I think. I do think that to prevent Alzheimer's and dementia, those types of things, I don't know that you can keep it from happening, but I think if you have a more flexible brain, you do crosswords, jigsaws, watercolors, woodwork, whatever, you got to have some flexibility in your thinking So don't get too set and rigid in your life, and stay happy and young at heart. There are things that are not happy. You know, you have times when you're crying for somebody, or you've lost somebody, or there's times of trial. But if you trust in the Lord, you know you have the faith that things are going to work out, and you know the healing may be that you die and go to heaven. That may be when you get healed. But whatever, keep your heart open and ready to receive happiness.
Oh yeah.
And joy.
Yeah. I don't know what the definition of happiness would be, but I'm happy. I have no.
Well, we're content.
Yeah, and we're very
compatible.
Yeah. So.
Thankful and grateful.
Yes. Well, the story has gotten, it went viral, and some of the results we've heard about is like the Jewel Box, which is this little jewelry store where I bought her ring in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Their jewelry business picked up because people said, we want to come here and see the Jewel Box. The same thing with the Nutcracker out at Pataskala. He says that people come in from California, they come in from Nevada, they come in from Texas, and they said, we heard about this place and we just want to come here and eat. And so his business has picked up as a result of this. And I would assume, but he said that so many people come in and said they read about it, they saw it on the news, they read it in the newspaper, online or whatever, Facebook, and they just wanted to come and see where the place was. So it has impacted many people. I guess what stuff we take for granted, but Annette was walking the other day at one of the local stores, and I had told the story there earlier, and this lady worked at Walmart, and so anyway. Annette was just walking through the store, and she said, "Oh my goodness, Annette, is that you?" And she remembered her. I mean, it's like, and she said, "Oh my goodness, I got my dad with me today. I've showed this to so many people. Oh my, we share this all the time." So it's getting around, and I don't know, maybe somewhere, I don't know if Facebook tells you how many hits we've got or whatever, but.
Well, when we go to OSU, to the James, when we first went there, that's right after we'd gotten married, and Bob told the nurses when they were in there getting him ready to see the doctor about our story. And of course they got on their phone and looked up the Steve Harvey show, and when the doctor came in, the nurses had already showed him or told him about the story on Steve Harvey. So he comes in and sits down on his stool and rolls up between the two of us and said, "I want to hear about your story." So, and now when we get off the elevator at James, the people that work there come holding their arms out to give us a hug and say, "There's Bob and Annette."
So, like I say, we've intertwined with so many lives. And we're very much alive. We're still able to get around and to see people and to share the story, and it's in different places. Service station. I was buying gas one day at the service station, and the man getting gas on the other side said, "How are you today?" I said, "Oh, I'm doing fine." And he said, "Something told me that I was supposed to meet you today." I said, "Well, what's your problem?" And he was having difficulty with his mother, and so we stood at the gas pump and talked for probably 30 minutes over how that he could deal with his mother and whatever. But that just doesn't happen. That happens all the time for me. I meet so many people, but I have a story to tell to the nations. There's a song. I have a story to tell to the nations. And our story is about love. It's about Christ. It's about God. It's about
family.
Family.
Friends.
Yeah, friends.
We're so thankful. Even the Lord led us to where we're living now. Where I did have my apartment, I'd been there 9 years, and I went to sign another year lease, and the lady said, well, Annette, we're not going to be able to renew your lease because we're going to turn these condos and we're going to turn these apartments into condos. So everybody whose lease is up, you're just being asked to move because we are not going to lease the apartment anymore. So we prayed about it and asked the Lord to show us what to do, and it was really hard to find. I know we went and looked at so many apartments. We went online and entered our information on all kinds of sites, and I just thought, well, I don't know what's going to happen because we only had 6 weeks to find a place to move. And I did ask to sign that lease 2 weeks earlier than I should have, and the lady said, Annette, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. I'm not supposed to tell you this until 2 more weeks. But we did have 6 weeks to find a place. But anyway, I've found a place, and I answered questions online about it, and it was this house that we're renting now in Newark. And of course, we didn't want to move that far out from Columbus, but we feel like the Lord led us to this house. And when the lady contacted me that rents the house, she said, Annette, I have a lot of applications or a lot of inquiries about the house, but because of some of your answers, I was just led to offer the house to you if you'll come and look at it and see if this is what you would like. So we feel like the Lord led us to this house.
And He provided us with really nice neighbors. I mean, it's like
neighbor has been
it's
so nice.
It's like everything has just has fallen into place, and of course, I was running back and forth to the James Hospital every week, it seemed, for a doctor's appointment, and now I just once a month. I go once a month now. So, and the Lord helped me there. The immunotherapy is very, 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 very expensive, and I couldn't afford it. And so I petitioned a pharmaceutical company who gives grants on medical cases, and just gave them my circumstances and whatever. And they called me the 3rd of January, and said, you meet all of our criterion, we're going to cover you for 2023. We're going to cover the whole thing. And it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. So otherwise, see ya. But the Lord has just answered everything that we've got. There was a little estrangement with my some of my children or family when I married Annette and run off to Ohio, and we've been married 3 years, and so things have changed, and I'm getting phone calls now and whatever. So because we don't get back to Virginia, it's a long drive. It's 500 miles, and so it's hard. You know, at this age, it gets a little more difficult. But so my family, you know, they're coming, and my son, he comes to visit every summer and every Christmas. Yeah, so he comes out, and so that's it. But it was a choice that I made, that I moved to Ohio, and
well, Bob's daughter, Denise, when he married me, I don't think you'll never replace your mother. Your mother is just so close to you. I think most mothers are just so close to their children. So, but I would never try to be a mother to Denise, because you can't replace a mother. But now, the last time we were with her, we could feel a softness more in her heart, and that's what we're praying for, that that she would, not be resentful for her dad remarrying. I think it was harder on her than the others. But we felt that she's starting to turn around. She's starting to be kind, and I did feel love from her the last time I saw her. So that's an answer to prayer, and that takes time. Things just don't happen real quick when that is involving your heart. And for her to understand that and want her dad to be happy. But it is hard on the family, some of them. Everyone's different, and some people just don't change as quick as others. But you can't give up on them. You want to still love them and still pray for them and still care about them. And you would never do anything to hurt them.
No. So like I say, it's a great life if you don't weaken, but who wants to be strong, right? The old country music.
Hand me a tissue, honey.
Yes, I will. Question.
Well, I think this is perfect for this.
Now you're still gonna get our sign up here, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Get this pretty face to the camera. Oh my. I'll still be loving you. Absolutely. Never let you go.